All right, we are back here on the podcast recapping Super Bowl 58. Like a snoozer at the beginning, turned into a classic by the end. Joining me, as is tradition on the podcast, to break down the big game. A little preview into what the Aussies could look like here. Joe Dall'Izio is back. Joe, how are you?
Mike, always a pleasure. I feel like we start this podcast the same every single season, saying, I can't believe it's gone. It happened so quickly. Here we are. We're breaking it down. We're already thinking about the draft in the off season. Where did the time go?
Yeah, time flies in the NFL season, unlike any other sport. Whereas, like in baseball, like you're watching, it's like, oh, it's like it takes forever to go from like May 16th to July 16th. Whereas you go from like opening night to like the Super Bowl in like a flash.
I think it's just like the anticipation, the playing once a week. With baseball, it's just it. I mean, forget it. I don't even want to get into it. But I mean, it's so drawn out that you could afford to make several mistakes throughout the baseball season and be just fine. But you have 4 to 5 bad weeks in the NFL, and your season is looking very different than what it could have been.
Yeah, that's for sure here. And general thoughts in this game here, because obviously, like I was watching, I was at a party here. Like it was not really like it was kind of slow to start the game, but I feel like once we got like past the Mahomes pick in the second half, I think things really picked up.
Yeah, I was surprised with how not only slow, but I thought the game was pretty sloppy early on.
Yeah.
Um, with that being said, I thought it was slow because both defenses were playing really, really well. But between Mahomes fumbling, Pacheco fumbling, Christian McCaffrey fumbling, it just wasn't your normal viewing of what you've seen from the Chiefs and the 49ers. As the game progressed, though, it started to pick up a little bit. But I got to be honest, in that first half, you're sitting there and you're wondering, like, when are the 49ers going to take advantage of this scoreboard? When are they going to try to put the Chiefs away or put the Chiefs on their back? Because, as we saw, they kept them in the game. Their inability to kind of take advantage early on really hurt them down the stretch. What felt like a blowout because of how well the 49ers defense played early on. It was really a really, really close game just based on the scoreboard. You got to take advantage. And I don't think they did that, and that ultimately hurt them in this game.
Yeah, for sure. You're right. Like bouncing on this game, you brought up a great point with the 49ers here. They had opportunity, really didn't take advantage of it. One thing, like people in my party knows, and I agree with here, is that like the offense, it felt like a combination of either A, like Shanahan did not really trust Brock Purdy as much as he tends to indicate in the press in terms of like the play calling here. And they were kind of force feeding Debo and McCaffrey, whereas I felt like you could have gotten opportunities to guys like Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle more, where they were basically ignored most of the game.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a surprise. Obviously, George Kittle goes out with the injury. I mean, you had a really great showing by Juwan Jennings. I mean, I don't think anybody anticipated Jennings to have the game that he had. What was surprising, and I'll point to the Patrick Mahomes interception, right? He throws that interception, and the 49ers end up going, and I think it was either 5 or 6 consecutive passes post that interception. And I think, Kyle Shanahan deserves a lot of blame in terms of moving to the second half, where you stopped running the ball. And they had their most success when they were feeding Christian McCaffrey. And you started to be a little bit too dependent on throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball. And Steve Spagnuolo and that Chiefs defense made the adjustments that they had to make, started bringing the pressure. And you really saw Brock Purdy becoming a lot more uncomfortable compared to how comfortable he was early on.
Yeah, like that was definitely something that was very strange here because like the best player on the field for 49ers is Christian McCaffrey here. I think he got what 2 carries after the third quarter before they got to overtime here. It was very strange usage from McCaffrey.
And that's inexcusable. I mean, that's a mistake that you can't make any week, but you cannot make that mistake on Super Bowl Sunday. He is the guy. He's the engine of that offense. Yes, you could talk about how talented Debo is and the other skill position players with their speed and their toughness, but you got to find a way to give Christian McCaffrey the ball way more. And when the 49ers stopped doing that, the Chiefs kept bringing the pressure, and you saw that later and later in the game.
Yeah, I mean with McCaffrey too, you look at it, he looked like there were points second half, he looked a little gassy because he was like doing a lot of work. He had 30 total touches here, but like I feel like the way they used him was just like not like enough because it felt like that this is the one your last game. Like they're having trouble stopping him, and basically they put the ball in the hands of like the guy who was no offense to Mr. Purdy again, the last pick of the draft, whereas a guy who you trade 5 draft picks for and basically carry your offense all season, you took the ball out of his hands a lot.
And I don't think this is a Brock Purdy like slander in any sense. But I mean, the reality is, if you have your choice of do you want Brock Purdy to win us this game or Christian McCaffrey? I mean, it's I think you ask any football fan, the answer is simple. It's Christian McCaffrey. Um, I don't think Brock Purdy lost you this game. I think this was a combination of, Kyle Shanahan just, overthinking it and going away from what was working and trying to say, or trying to, trying to play chess or trying to play checkers when the Chiefs were playing chess. This is what a classic example of this was, and you saw how coaching took over late in this game.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Another good example of that is like he takes the galaxy brain things. I feel like a little bit when it comes to his game plans, especially when he's up late in the game. I mean, we saw in the back-to-back situations late in the game when both teams were down in the red zone. They had the fourth and fours. Kansas City kicks to make sure they get the tie, and San Francisco goes for it. They do get the lead at the touchdown eventually here, but it shows you like he's like I think over aggressive to the point where like you're in the red zone here. You can take the lead in the Super Bowl. He chooses not to do it. He takes a risk.
They were able to get away with it in the divisional round against the Packers in the AFC and the NFC Championship against a team like the Detroit Lions. But when you're going up against Andy Reid, when you're going up against Patrick Mahomes, and you got to give credit to Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive mastermind at this point, you aren't going to be able to recover from making those mistakes. And it proved its case on Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, for sure. It's like another decision that in the moment I didn't realize as much, but looking at the post game discourse, I think was a very valid question here in terms of like the overtime rules. It's the first time we got an overtime since we had the rule change after the Buffalo KC game in 2021, where it was after that Josh Allen to get the ball in overtime. So now we're guaranteed both teams get a possession regardless of a touchdown is scored. The 49ers win the toss and take the football, which feels like a big mistake in hindsight because, like, especially when you have the less certain quarterback, it'd be nice to go out with certainty and decision making. Say, hey, I know I need this, which felt the Chiefs had clarity in their drives. Like, we needed to at least get a field goal to tie the game. Whereas the 49ers, like, you left it nebulous and they were sort of like indecisive some of their play calls on that drive.
I think you're seeing a lot of people indifferent with this. And I got to be honest, I think I'm on the other side of it. I think I'm fine with Shanahan taking the ball only because your defense was just on the field and just got gassed, right? So now you're expecting your defense to go back out there against Patrick Mahomes and try to make it stop when they just went down the field. And if they had more time, they were probably scoring a touchdown and winning the game in regulation, right? I mean, it's devil's advocate based on what happens on each drive, but I think that was the thought process there that, hey, let's rest our guys. Let's see if we could go down the field. Let's see if we could score a touchdown. And if we do, the pressure's on them. I think they didn't want to put that pressure perhaps on Purdy of the Chiefs going right down, scoring. And now yeah, we got to score.
Yeah, I think the difference would be, I sort of look at it as the college football mentality where the overtime in college is like, hey, like you always play defense first if you get the chance because then like if you stop them, you win the game at the field goal, or if you score a touchdown, okay, we know we have to do to match it, and then you have the opportunity to score a touchdown. We can go for two and win the game. We're feeling very Super Bowl about a play call we like. I think the idea there felt like his rationale after the game also was, oh, I want to make sure we were tied after one possession made no sense to me either.
Yeah, I didn't love that rationale. I think I did agree with him though about the fact that you don't want to put your defense right back on the field after Mahomes just went down. And again, if there was more time, they're scoring a touchdown before the end of regulation. The other thing is you had him on you had a fourth down opportunity. You could have stopped him, you didn't.
Yeah.
We're having a completely different conversation right now. Patrick Mahomes gets stopped on that fourth down, or if the Chiefs don't convert. We're having a completely different conversation, right? It's not like they didn't have opportunities to stop Patrick Mahomes. The reality is, though, you cannot keep giving Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs more opportunities. And this is exactly what the 49ers did all night. By them not taking advantage and putting them away early. They kept Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in this game. So they gave him that last opportunity, and the best quarterback will prevail, and that was evident.
Yeah, for sure here. I also think in terms of that play call, fourth down, I love the way they designed it here because fire sold out to stop the run up the middle. They fake the handoff to Pacheco. They drop Kelsey off of this, drag him out the side. So defenders make a choice. So I cover Kelsey or take the running quarterback. He goes to Kelsey. Mahomes is a running lane. Nothing else. A great play call.
You know what? And I loved in the broadcast too of them just breaking it down, saying, this is a play that the Chiefs haven't showed all year. And that's what you expect in the Super Bowl. You expect, in critical moments that you show something and you run something that the opposing team has no idea it's coming. And I thought even that winning touchdown, I mean, I thought that it was an incredible play. And I actually, at the party that I was at, we stopped it and rewatched it because we were like, how was he that wide open?
Yeah.
But I mean, the way that it was schematically ran, and you could tell that they put in so much time to make sure that that play goes off and is executed the right way. I mean, you snap that ball a little earlier, you don't have the same success.
Yeah.
Incredible, incredible.
Yeah, it is incredible here. And speaking of incredible here, another note that came out during the broadcast last night was one of the great stats I saw here is that I'm sure this caught your eye when it came on the screen here. Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs are down 7 or more points in the playoffs in his career, is now 9-2, which is absurd. The next best mark is Tom Brady, 10-11. This is 1950 here. The man is incredible under pressure.
I mean, you got two goats right there.
Yeah.
That's what it is. We learned while watching Tom Brady, you can't give this guy a chance. When he's down, you got to knock him down. But if he's still standing, he's going to have an opportunity to win that game. And we're seeing that all over again with Patrick Mahomes. And I would argue Patrick Mahomes is a better overall athlete, arm talent, and we're reliving it already, which is incredible because it's like Tom Brady just stepped away, and here comes this young kid who's just razzling and dazzling the NFL landscape every single week. You can't give him an opportunity to win the game, and if you do, you're going to pay. And this was the year that the Chiefs were supposed to not be there, and they were able to pull it off. I mean, I think that's the most impressive part of this game is that you trade away your best offensive weapon in Tyreek Hill. You have, you lose a couple gimmies. You end up still finding a way to get there and win in what should have been a down year. Kudos to them.
I mean,
that's all.
This team got embarrassed by the Raiders at home on Christmas Day, and now they're Super Bowl champions about a month and a half later.
I mean, this is a team that just when you have that quarterback, it's a difference maker. And let's face it, the defense, Steve Spagnuolo does not get enough credit for what he has done as a defensive coordinator with the Kansas City Chiefs, even before the Chiefs when he was with the New York Giants. I mean, this guy studies, and his scheme is incredible week in and week out, and has these guys prepared. And you saw that.
Yeah, you definitely did here. And you also are seeing now that you can't deny anymore the Chiefs are a dynasty because they're the first team to repeat at the Patriots 03-04. This year, nobody thought they would do it here. And now they're, as Travis Kelce said last night in his postgame speech, they're trying to become the first team to ever win 3 in a row. We've seen teams go 3 in a row. We saw most recently the Patriots, they won the 51 and 53. They won 2 and lost 1. But the idea here, when you watch this team play, as long as Mahomes is there, as long as Andy Reid's there, you can't count on anything from them.
How could you? How could you? Everyone counted them out this year.
Yeah.
There is you would be foolish to count them out. The only way that they're out is if Patrick Mahomes unfortunately suffers some sort of season-ending injury and he's done. Right? That's the only way that this team doesn't have a chance. As long as he's the quarterback, they will continue to have a chance. And I don't want to hear about money and re-signing. They'll figure it out. They figured out a way to get him paid, Travis Kelce paid. They lose their best wide receiver. I mean, I don't think the average NFL fan could even name their wide receiving core.
Now, one of them was also on the Jets for about 6 weeks, and then they got traded back.
Yeah. And look at the impact that he made.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah,
Incredible.
is incredible here. And also, speaking of incredible the other way here, this is now the third. I think this is like the third time in Super Bowl Kyle Shanahan's history that been on a team that's up 10 points in the Super Bowl and has lost the game. Which is go back to his coordinator against the Falcons, twice with the 49ers against the Chiefs here. I mean, I know everybody's raving about the Kyle Shanahan tree. Kyle Shanahan is the father of the modern NFL offense here. The guy shrinks in the biggest spots every single time. And like it's incredible how he's not figure out how to play with a lead in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean this becomes a mental thing when you keep doing the same or making the same mistake over and over and over again. It just becomes uh you just can't get over that hump. And this is something that not many teams have the opportunity that Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers have had. And if you look at the whole NFC landscape in general, the NFC is stacked, and there's no guarantee that you're going to get back there. And you could argue that this postseason they shouldn't even have been there. I mean, you could make an argument that the Packers should have knocked them out. You could make an argument that the Detroit Lions should have knocked them out. A little bit of luck on their side and execution late in games helped them out, but for Kyle Shanahan, it's about getting over this mental block, because this is something that, whether he wins one or not, follows him. This is his storyline until he wins.
Yeah.
So, you need to figure out a way to kind of get over it. And I think it comes with how do you get over it? I don't know. If I knew how to get over it, maybe I'd be an NFL coach. Right. But I think it starts with not overanalyzing, sticking to the basics, and going from there. I think once you start messing with your own mind, anything can happen. And as a result, we're seeing him not be able to close out these big games.
Yeah, not for nothing too. Like in terms of in terms of the 49ers here, they basically made their bet with Brock Purdy here. They basically said, okay, like we're gonna put as much talent around this really cheap young quarterback as possible here, and like we're relying basically to be the point guard of the offense and just let these guys do their things here. And I think we saw in the playoffs here, he had his moments. There are also moments where you saw like he was not up to the task of making these big time throws, these big time moments.
You know what though? I can't. I'm not. I don't think I'm pointing the finger at Brock Purdy. I really don't. I think it's unfair for anyone to be doing that. I mean, this was the last pick in the draft. He's already exceeded expectations beyond belief. Like how many Mr. Irrelevance even play? Not only did this guy play, he leads his team to a Super Bowl. Now, could it be the system? Absolutely. Could it be the talent around him? Absolutely. But hey, we've seen big time players make big time mistakes too, right? So Patrick Mahomes throws that interception, 49ers don't capitalize. But if they score a touchdown there, it's a different game, right? If they kick a field goal, it's a different game, right? So I don't love the finger pointing at Brock Purdy. Is he the best? Definitely not. But I don't think we should all be quick to judge him because of not being able to win it. I don't think they. And again, I said it earlier. They didn't lose this game because of Brock Purdy.
Yeah, to be fair, at the same point though, there's a lot of quarterbacks with similar attributes to him where you wonder if you just dropped him in that system with those players, would they get to the same point? And you put him somewhere else, is he doing what he's doing? Like if you say you put him in New England, is he doing the same thing?
No, I don't. I don't think so. I mean, if you put Patrick Mahomes in New England, I think he'd have his struggles too right now, the way that the Patriots are currently constructed. But on a bigger scale, he fits that Shanahan system. And if he didn't, they wouldn't have gone to him, and they wouldn't have given up on everything else that they had.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead to the offseason a little bit. Start looking ahead to next year here, and something new here. We had day of recording. We have obviously the odds for win Super Bowl 59, which I believe is in New Orleans next year. So that's
Yes.
already out, and we have again. Chiefs are second favorites here. They put the 49ers as favorites to win the Super Bowl here, plus 550. I'm looking at CBSSports.com. They pulled their odds in DraftKings here. 49ers, Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, Lions, the top five here. So Anything jump at you from this list?
Yeah, I tell you what, I love Detroit, which pains me as a Green Bay Packers fan. I think they're going to be back. I think they're going to play hard, and they're going to be able to move some pieces around to be an even better team. Uh, my eyes are also on the Houston Texans. I think at plus 2,200, that's something that should jump off the screen, specifically because of the young quarterback.
Yeah.
Right, you have the young quarterback, you have money to spend. Here we are. That is the recipe for the new NFL, right? Having that young quarterback, being able to add pieces around. Um, and I thought Houston took a huge step in the right direction. Now you have another great draft, and you add some more talent via the free agent pool. Now we're cooking with something. Now we're cooking. So I definitely, those are two teams that kind of jump off my screen. Also, the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, what do they do this offseason? Joe Burrow was obviously not Joe Burrow, but if you get the Joe Burrow that we're used to seeing, you could easily see them playing in an AFC championship game, if not a Super Bowl game.
Yeah, and Joe Burrow's the only active quarterback who's beaten Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs.
There you go. So, that team stays healthy. They figure out what they need to do this offseason. I think that's some great value there as well.
Yeah, I think two teams I think are overrated in the early ones here. Buffalo, Miami. I think both showed in the playoffs that they are not like teams that I'm feel like can break through in the playoffs. Especially Miami. Like, don't trust like Tua in these big spots. You saw he shrunk in the cold in Kansas City here, and like they're gonna potentially pay him like top the market here. Like, if I'm a Jet fan, if you're a fan of 18 AFC East, you hope they do that. I don't think he's good enough to take them over the hump there.
Yeah, I don't love him as a starting quarterback. I will say this though, if their regular season played out a little bit differently and they didn't have to go to Kansas City, I think we would have had a very different Super Bowl, a very different Super Bowl matchup this year. I think that had a lot to do with it.
All right, so that's the odds here. And of note for the local fans, Jets plus 2,500 down there with the Chargers at the Hardball, and the Giants down here plus 10,000. Remember last, they dropped a lot, the Giants year to year.
Yeah, not looking so pretty for the Giants. A lot of optimism once again for the New York Jets, hoping that, the savior, Aaron Rodgers, can lead them to victory.
I sense
Let's
the
see.
I sense the sarcasm in your voice with that one.
Well, just a little sarcasm,
Yeah.
just a little.
All right, so let's
Look, I still have them up, right? I still
yeah,
have them up. You see the Rodgers sign.
yeah. Yeah, so let's honestly go here. Big picture, like what is some stuff you're looking forward to watch here in the free agency and the draft here? What are you looking forward in the offseason? What are you looking to watch there?
My eyes are really on the Houston Texans. Um, that like I mentioned earlier, how do they improve with their rookie quarterback after having the season that CJ Stroud just had? Um, Another thing, and this goes with the draft coming up and free agency. What do the Chicago Bears do? What do they do at the quarterback position? Do they end up trading Fields? If so, who are they taking? How much are they getting back for giving up someone like Fields? Because I mean, they ended up finishing the regular season on a pretty high note. So they got better. Does that mean that the value for Fields went up when they're confident with keeping him, or vice versa? So I think they're a team that could be a little bit better next year, which is dangerous for the NFC in general. Those are the two AFC NFC teams that I'm really interested in seeing what do they do. And in terms of the draft, it's who's going to end up getting the franchise quarterback. Who's going to be the lucky winner? I mean, we saw that Caleb Williams already, or the reports at least, that Caleb Williams does not want to play with the Chicago Bears. Do we have the newer version of Eli Manning and the San Diego Chargers at the time? Right. I think it's a fascinating storyline to see how it all unfolds.
Yeah, I think that's definitely worth watching here. I also think here there's a lot of teams that like you definitely have a lot of quarterback roulette once again. Because I mean, you got the Russell Wilson stuff out of Denver. It's very weird. You got Kirk Cousins hitting free agency. You're gonna have some teams. maybe somebody trades for Fields be their starter. Atlanta's looking for a quarterback. You have some teams that have buyer's remorse on guys they paid last year. A lot of quarterback movement as well, I expect.
Yeah, I could fully expect a lot of quarterbacks um, to be on the move, and I'll be curious to see who come draft day ponies up and makes some moves. I mean, I'm looking at someone like the Green Bay Packers, who, a very young offense. What do they do? Can they take advantage of the Jets' second round pick, plus their first round pick to move up into the top 15 or the top 10, and select a difference maker? It, it's always interesting. I always play this game with my close buddies, is looking back at previous drafts and saying, man, what if? And here we are, we're reading mock drafts, and we're at the point where nothing's certain, but we're saying, oh man, if my team could draft this guy, this will be the difference maker. So we are quickly approaching that territory.
Yeah, for sure. Here, I'll talk real quick about the low score wrap up here. Giant offseason is very interesting because, despite the rumors that they're going to draft quarterback, it seems like now that they're just going to roll with Jones again and then sort of go like fix the line, get more weapons approach on offense here, and maybe get some additions in free agents here. Like Giants are very interesting here because like after the rough start of the year, they kind of finished decently strong, and then they see like every quarterback other than Daniel Jones play well for the Giants here. So it makes you wonder here like what they're thinking going in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge quarterback decision that GM and coach got to kind of figure out. Are we sticking with Daniel Jones? Is he our guy? Or are we drafting a guy and that guy's going to be labeled, our responsibility essentially, right? Every GM and every coach wants their guy. Does that guy exist at 6 where the New York Giants currently sit? Right? Are you willing to, or are you settling just because you're not happy? That's something that they need to figure out. But whatever they figure out, I think what's most important is getting that offensive line as prepared and as talented, not just starting, but even just depth in general, because you saw the injury bump run wild, to make sure that whoever's playing quarterback has enough time to throw the ball.
Yeah, with them, I just don't know what to expect out of them at all because like they're very, very cagey right now what they intend to do here. I mean, we heard rumors, like, whispers about things at them, but like they feel like that they're like there's also like these rumors kind of hovering around like the dissension around like about Dable being a bad guy as a coach, that Wink Martindale left because of friction with him, like. And you wonder with some of these big name guys who are on the sideline this year in terms of coaches, you wonder if the heat's on Dable a little bit to like get back in shape here.
Yeah, I think there is. I think expectations were really high, considering what they did the season before. That, to have this sudden drop off was just like, what is going on? So I think the heat definitely is on that to get this team back to close to playoff football, if not playoff football. I don't think there's enough talent overall to get them into the playoffs. But again, a really good offseason could get you right there.
Yeah, the Jet offseason is also very clear. I mean, the owner waited till the second Super Bowl ended. They put, oh, we're getting new uniforms. And then it's obviously Rodgers is back. He's planning to be there for 2 years. They all know they have to win this year. And it's very clear here. It's like what he basically said to the NFL honors. Like, like we have to win or else.
I mean, isn't that the whole purpose, was why you decided to bring in Aaron Rodgers to win? Like, I don't think that should surprise anything. But I always go back and I said, when Rodgers was with the Packers, he always used to say, "We need more talent. We need more talent. We need more talent." And I look at it now, and I look at what Jordan Love did with the talent. I look at what Patrick Mahomes did with the talent. You start to question, and I'm not questioning saying that Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback. He's a great quarterback. There's no denying. But I start to look deeper into it and say, was this maybe Aaron Rodgers not buying into Matt LaFleur? I think when it comes to the New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers, if they don't win, this was a colossal mistake, and you're starting all over again.
Yeah.
And if I'm a Jet fan, especially after Rodgers barely played, I mean, he did play this year. The expectations have to be more than just making the playoffs or winning the division, right? If you're not thinking that this team is going AFC Championship or Super Bowl, then uh, I don't know what this experiment was for, right? It's got to be more than just let's get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, where, as a Jet fan, Mike, like, what are your expectations for next season? Rodgers comes back, he's healthy.
Like obviously I think they're a playoff team this year if he's healthy because like they were multiple games but their defense was pitching like shutouts and they couldn't score the ball. So like I think like they could have won the division this year if he's healthy. That's an obvious here. I think like you have to at least make the second weekend of the playoffs. You have to get in, win a game, and like be like a threat on the second weekend. That's my personal opinion. You need bare minimum that.
And but you mark that as a success then?
Considering this team's not made the playoffs in 13 years and you're having Rodgers the year after, I would.
I mean, I don't know if I trade for. I mean, and listen, they didn't give up much, but and the injury only helped in terms of what they gave up or what they didn't give up. But I think the expectations need to be higher. I mean, and then the other thing is, next year's guaranteed, but you don't know what the following year brings.
Yeah.
So, if you do make, let's say, the second round of the playoffs, and then you get bounced, and he's done, then what? You're starting over with what, the 23rd pick of the draft? This. If I'm the New York Jets, I am going all in. I am putting myself in salary cap hell. I am getting as much talent on offense as possible. I don't think you can do too much on the defense. I think the defense is phenomenal. But if you could add a piece here and there for depth, of course, but you get that offensive line as ready as possible. You bring in another wide receiver, and I think you're cooking. I think you're cooking. I mean, I think you bring in a Mike Evans, you maybe trade for a Devontae Adams. You go all in because you don't know if there's a next year. The other issue is don't make the same mistake you made this year.
Yeah.
So when you're putting that roster together, make sure you have someone that in the event of an injury, you could at least win a few games.
Yeah, and that's the thing
Not,
I want to kill the owner for here too, because you had this whole big thing like, well, we know a backup quarterback this year. Well, Woody, you were more worried about the uniform and selling tickets than having a backup quarterback because there was a lot of rumors going around about the nepotism here. They wanted to help the nephew of the JetBlue owner like succeed in the NFL.
and not for nothing, I thought it kind of cheesy on the New York Jets to release the fact that they're getting new jerseys coming April 2024, right after the Super Bowl ended. I mean, I know you want to, excite the fan base, but this fan base, again, I'm not part of the fan base, but that's the last thing that I think the fan base is worrying about right now is new jerseys. Am I wrong?
Yeah, that's the problem is that Woody cares about all the stupid things. And this is a thing that Woody, again, like we saw the Athletic for a few weeks ago about how like he's obsessed with the team's perception on Twitter. He's telling Salah, like, here's what the media and the fans think you should do to fix the offense. I think is why Zach Wilson got benched the first time because they said, okay, we gotta throw the fans some red meat here. And like as long as he be a meddling owner like that, they're not winning anything.
Well, that's what you took the words right out of my mouth. If that's the mentality, good luck. You're gonna be looking for your new quarterback in next year's draft. Good luck.
Yeah, because he's a buffoon. As simple as that. Like he cares about all the wrong things.
Well, and again, you're never gonna win. You'll never win with that mentality. You'll never win with that mentality, and it's a shame. It's a shame because again, you put the right pieces together. You're right there.
Yeah.
You're right there.
Yeah, and like this is his mentality he's had, I think, since the collapse after 2011. Like when they like the shift for him really was like for a while he's letting the football people do the football things and just sort of make the decisions. When they traded for Tebow was the shift that we got to make as many headlines as possible. We got to sell the jerseys and sell the tickets, and that's all he cares about. And like, and now he cares more about who wins the Republican nomination for a president than who if his football team wins, as long as making money.
If that's the case, it's going to be a long time before the success that you all want as a Jets fandom or fan base gets.
Yes, like yeah, I would tell him either get the hell out of the way or sell the team. Those are your two options.
I mean, there's a lot of people that are already knocking on that door.
Yep. All right, Joe. Thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it here. People want to follow you on social media. How can I do that?
Mike, they could give me a shout on Twitter at Joe double underscore.
Do not forget the double.
Don't forget the double DALOISIO.